solidarity with the people, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to co-chairs, members of the organisation, and many from the Asia-Pacific region and around the world for joining this meeting. The year 2024 began with war raging in Ukraine, parts of the Middle East, and military activities in other parts of the world. US imperialism plans, along with NATO holidays, was to strengthen this concept and order as a way of life on the basis of the so-called international rules-based order, with the rest of the world conditioned to accept this new order as a way of life. Much to the disappointment of the USS strategists, the resistance against these imperialist plans by the progressive forces has forced US imperialism to reassess their plans and not to abandon them. During this period under review, there has been both positive and negative developments, while some of the plans of US imperialism suffer setbacks and in some cases outright defeat. There has also been setbacks for the progressive forces and decisions taken not fully understood by those who advocate peace, solidarity, and a unipolar world. As the year ended, war was still raging in Ukraine, and the systematic military destruction of Gaza almost completed by the fascist Zionist forces. Over 50,000 and still counting Palestinians dead, mostly women and children. Hospitals, schools, homes, and other forms of domestic infrastructure totally destroyed as the Zionists carved out their plans for a great Israel with a very little opposition from the rest of the world. In February 2024, without any warning of notice or information, the DPRK government took a sharp U-turn and abandoned the long-standing principle of peaceful unification with the South. This long-standing principle had been a main feature of their inter-Korean policy, and it had become part of their DNA. From the beginning of the founding of the DPRK, and under the leadership of their founding president, Kim Il-sung, the principle of unification was a hallmark of their inter-Korean policy, initially known as the Sunshine Policy. As far back as 1972, President Kim Il-sung proposed the three principles of national reunification and the 10-point program of reunification of the country in 1993. All of these principles were formulated by Kim Jong-il in the three charters of national reunification. In his writings, let us carry out the great Conrad instructions for national reunification. In 1997, from a practical perspective, these policies were further enhanced by a number of inter-Korean summits that took place over a number of years. The first in 2000, 2007, April, May, and September, 2018, plus the three summits between Kim Jong-un and US President Trump. The decision of the North to abandon this long-standing has been ratified by the Supreme People's Assembly. And all evidence of this historically policy removed or demolished, including monuments, roads, bridges, and railway links. Consistent with our policy of solidarity with the Korean people, the Asia-Pacific Regional Committee adopted a new name to comply with these new dynamics. From the Asia-Pacific Regional Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea to the new name of Asia-Pacific Regional Committee of Friendship and Solidarity with the Korean people. One of the consequences of this change has been a lack of contact from Pyongyang, not only with us, but with other friendship and solidarity organisations throughout the Asia-Pacific region. The last contact we had with Wang Sung-chol, Secretary General of the Asia Pacific region, was in July 2024 in preparation for the 30th anniversary to commemorate the demise of President Kim Il-sung. Whether this change has been due to the changes that we referred to, one can't be sure. Although we were advised by the DPRK embassy in Jakarta that structural changes were being undertaken within the organisation in Pyongyang and contact would be forthcoming. In December, we did receive an email advising that the previous peak body for Friendship and Solidarity organisation has now been completed and it's restructuring with a new name, Korean Association for Cultural Exchange with Foreign Countries, which we responded to, see attachment. Now that the restructuring has been completed and contact made, one can be confident that normal communications will be restored as in the past. On a more positive note, in June last year, a historic summit took place between Marshal Kim Jong-un and the Russian President Vladimir Putin, resulted in the adoption of a strategic document of partnership. The contents of this partnership are far-reaching and takes relations between the two countries to another level. Despite what the Western press would have us believe, relations between China and DPRK have grown stronger over the years, despite the impact that COVID had on trade and other forms of relations. The strength of the relationships is clearly demonstrated in the articles contained in the Mutual Aid and Cooperation Treaty, which was first signed in 1961 and renewed for 20 years in 2021. The treaty comprehensively covers the important issues of peace on the Korean Peninsula, military alliances, trade, and the defence of socialism. Since the opening of borders of the two countries following the pandemic, trade has increased and Chinese tourists are once again visiting the DPRK in large numbers. Since its founding on the 9th of September 1948, 77 years ago, the DPRK and the Korean people have stood as ground against all the machinations of US imperialism and its military might, while at the same time overcoming all economic, social, and political difficulties and illegal and unjust functions as they march forward confidently in building a powerful socialist country, a beacon of encouragement for the progressive and world forces to follow. In support of our own principles and solidarity activities with the Korean people, our duty compels us to render all support and assistance to the DPRK and its people. Long live the DPRK and the Korean people. Long live peace and friendship. I now ask Peter Wilson, Asia Pacific Regional Committee Secretariat and Secretary of New Zealand DPRK Solidarity Society to comment in response to my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. As you have mentioned, communications stopped from DPRK from Pyongyang in July of 2024. We received, as you said, an email. We received an email from Miss Kim Jong-a on behalf of Huang on the 17th of July. And the last email that anybody got was a few days later, and that was Dermot Hudson of the UK KFA. He received birthday greetings on the 20th of July. Now and then there was nothing for 7 months when we got a letter from Kim Kwang-il, who said that we knew him because we had met him on previous visits to Pyongyang, but actually none of us We have no doubt we met him, but we can't picture who he is. In his letter of 17th of July, June this year, he said, Dear Mr. Raymond Ferguson, Teguh Santosa, Peter Wilson, please accept my warm greetings of friendship from Pyongyang. I am working with the Korea Association for Cultural Exchange with foreign countries to be in charge of the Asia-Pacific region, signed Kim Kwang-il. Now, we have gone back to him numerous times, and he has never acknowledged or replied to any of them. Since then, there have been two mail-outs from the Korea Association for Cultural Exchange with foreign, but no signature at the bottom. And we have repeatedly sent emails to Kim Kwang-il asking him a couple of questions. One of them is whether Pyongyang would be supportive of our committee carrying out a campaign to have the United Nations withdraw authority for the USA use of the United Nations flag in Korea. But more importantly, perhaps, we have been asking him whether the DPRK will be inviting visitors to Pyongyang for an event to celebrate the end of World War II, which was 70 years ago on the 15th of August. Many of us who are here tonight were present for the 60th anniversary event, which they held in 2015. And my memory is that there were over 200 international visitors at that event. And it was a memorial, a tremendous occasion, a meeting down there at Panmunjom. I remember you, Norma Benas from the Philippines, giving us an impassioned speech, standing right down there by one of the blue huts. So we've been asking him to let us know whether they're planning to invite us or those that can go this year or not. And there's two reasons for that. Firstly, it costs a lot of money. The airfares are not cheap. And we need to plan, those that might want to go need to plan their time and save their money so they can get the airfares. But also, if they are not going to hold one, I think that we would want to consider holding one ourselves, as we did on the 27th of July in 2023 in Jakarta. We had a very successful hybrid Zoom meeting to commemorate the 27th of July, the end of the Korean War. And what I would like to throw out for consideration is if they decide that they're not going to have a meeting in Pyongyang and invite international visitors, I would like to suggest that we consider holding one in Hanoi, Vietnam. And we could, in fact, have a double celebration, because not only is that Liberation Day, as they call it in the DPRK, but also 2025 marks 50 years of diplomatic relations between Vietnam and the DPRK. So this is where we are, and I'd be interested in anybody's comments or suggestions on these thoughts.
Comprehensive remarks, and I take it that the proposal that's contained in those remarks regarding proposal to have a gathering in Hanoi. Now,
well, if this
of the meeting, that the question of August the 15th, and for that matter, which is the Korea's Liberation Day, and also in addition the 10th of October, which is the Workers' Party of Korea 80th anniversary. These two matters are going to be dealt with in Comrade Hank's comprehension contribution to the meeting. So may I suggest that we deal with the proposals that Peter has raised following the contribution from Comrade Pan regarding both the 80th anniversary of Korea Liberation Day, August the 15th, and the 80th anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea, October the 10th. Because both of those gatherings will require us to give consideration of whether or not we receive an invitation to visit Pyongyang, or whether we should organise alternative celebrations in another country. Can I make that as a suggestion?
Excuse me, I had meant to mention that on the 24th of June last year, Kim Jong-un made a big announcement saying that they were not recognizing South Korea anymore, and that they were going to focus in the future. And they shut down all of their institutes for and organizations that were looking at reunification. They said reunification is not on. It's a foreign country and it's an enemy, and we will focus on developing our own country, ourselves, and our economy and our defense, which they have done. And we have not heard, in the DPRK society, we were getting 2, 3, 4, 5 emails backwards and forwards every month from Mr. Huang, primarily, but also on occasions from Mr. Pak Kong-il, and or Mr. Huang's assistant, Miss Kim Jong-a. Now, why the sudden silence? I would assume that they have been assigned to other government departments. I mean, that's just a sort of a possibility.
Please continue.
What was that comment?
No, please continue, Peter.
Well, I'm just guessing that they might have been assigned other jobs in other government departments dealing with domestic affairs, and they don't have access to international email and are therefore unable to, communicate with us anymore. Time will tell whether that is true or not, I hope. But in the meantime, we're kind of cut off. There's no communication with them at all because Kim Kwang-il just does not answer or respond to any emails.
Well, I agree what Peter says. That's exactly what the position is. The last time we received any communication was from Wang Song-chol in July last year, and that was in relation to final preparations for the 30th anniversary of the demise of President Kim Il-sung. Since then, there's been nothing but silence. Now, as I said in my comments, whether or not this change of position is a manifestation or part of the reasons that can be explained as a result of their abandoning unification, peaceful unification or not, I don't know. But it's totally unsatisfactory as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it is a new era. There's no doubt about it. Things have changed. It's a new era. And I've been sort of cogitating and thinking they've kind of gone behind. During the Cold War years, the Soviet Union was behind the Iron Curtain. It's almost now as if they've gone behind Iron Curtain number 2. They've drawn closer and just focused on China and especially Russia. And it's turned out to be sort of to their advantage a little bit that Russia actually needs a bit of help with them because of their debacle in Ukraine. So we are looking at a totally new era, I believe.
Yes, and one that's almost silent. All right, well, thank you, Peter. Now, moving on, the next item to be dealt with is a report from the Director of the Public Information Bureau, Teguh Santosa from Indonesia. Teguh?
Yes. Thank you, Ray. Comrades, on behalf of Indonesia DPRK Friendship Association, I would like to express our happiness that we can finally meet again, even though it is online meeting, to discuss various matters regarding the development of our organization and the dynamic in the region. Our last meeting was in February last year when we revised the name of this organization following Pyongyang's new policy changes regarding reunification. We have understood how difficult it is to realize an understanding regarding Korean reunification because the dynamics in the South and the United States often make the situation worse again. It is difficult to get a measurable commitment from them to maintain the easing of tension as happened in 2018 and 2019. The regime change in both countries after that period had a bad impact. Now, both countries are experiencing regime change again. Whether this means that it will reopen opportunities for improvement or not, we still have to wait together. On the other hand, the offer made by our friends in the North so far is the most credible and miserable way out of our proposal, and we hope that after that happens, the two Korea can live in a framework of peaceful coexistence. However, if we look at the hostile policy that are still maintained by the South and US, we cannot be optimistic yet. And comrades, on the other hand, internally, we are also having difficult communication with our friends in Pyongyang, as Ray and Peter already mentioned earlier. But we in Jakarta, we often discuss this with the DPRK embassy and have received information that an adjustment process is indeed underway. We have already received contact with the new person in charge in Pyongyang. Ray and Peter already mentioned about this. However, the contact is very minimal. A couple months ago, I also got a message from Kim Jong-a. He sent me an email using the ordinary email the regular email that they always use to send email to us. And Kim Jong-a told me that she is now working for a new institution, like promoting international trading, something like that. So now she is working with economic sectors. And she also said that, but she didn't mention anything about Huang Sung-chol, for example. Maybe they are now in a different organization. Yeah, and I need to report to this forum that our communication with the embassy in Jakarta still very good. On February 12th last month, the embassy held a reception to commemorate leader Kim Jong-il, and we were involved in the preparation process. The event went smoothly and was attended by various groups in Indonesia, member of parliament, and also the Indonesian North Korea caucus, and of course the Minister of Foreign Affairs were also present in that reception. And also next month, on April 17, the embassy will hold a reception at Bogor Botanical Gardens to commemorate the visit of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il to Indonesia and to commemorate Kim Il-sung's birthday. So any one of you, if you would like to come to Jakarta next month in April, we can go there to the Bogor Botanical Garden. Or Mr. Balic, if you are in Jakarta, you can also join with us.
Which date again?
17th of April.
17. Okay,
Yeah, and I will keep inform you about the development on this. Today,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Today, Mr. Ree, this morning, I talked to Mr. Ree. We exchanged a message with Mr. Ree. Actually, I also invited him to this forum, Peter, as you suggest me. And he said that today he's visiting Bogor Botanical Garden in preparation for the the coming April reception. And also, I would like to report that now we are in Jakarta, in New Zealand, and also in Australia. We are waiting for the new DPRK ambassador coming. Indonesia already give agreement for the new DPRK ambassador to Indonesia, but he's still not in Jakarta yet. So we are still waiting for him. I think that is all I can say. Once again, thank you for the presence in today meeting. I'm happy that I can see you and also Miss Kim Jung Hee. It is the first time for me to meet you, and thank you for your insight related to the North Korean soldier, so-called North Korean soldier captured in Ukraine. I think it is very, because the way you are looking at this evidence, because you know the cultures, you know the body language, and so on and so on. Okay, Ray, that's all that I can say to complete what you and Peter have mentioned earlier. Thank you, everyone.
Well, Comrade Teguh, thank you very much for your valuable contribution to this meeting this evening. You have provided some information I wasn't aware of. I'm sure other members weren't either. But thank you for those efforts. And secondly, I should make it known before we proceed that Comrade Christian Popovic is duly taking the minutes on behalf of me in my absence for the purpose of this meeting. And I now call upon Christian Popovic, who's an executive member of the Public Information Bureau, to respond to the comments of Comrade Teguh. Thank you, Christian.
Well, thank you very much, Director, and I would just like to thank Comrade Santosa for his report. This information is very important because I believe a theme which has taken place right now, which is a theme we're experiencing both individually as separate nations and collectively as part of our Solidarity Committee, internationally speaking, is that I believe there is a strong change, a strong orientation and development occurring with the Chosun Minjujiye Inmin Gongwaguk, with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. To say it quite bluntly, I believe the developments in the DPRK the past 1 or 2 years has been relatively extraordinary in terms of the breadth and scope of their enterprises. We just saw, I believe it was just 3 days ago, Chairman Kim Jong-un unveil a new nuclear-powered submarine capable of housing ballistic missiles. When we're also seeing the expansion and reorientation of the agricultural sector, which can be noted within Korea, I believe all of this is leading to a rapid development within Korea, within the Korean society, and within its outreach externally as well. And I note the relative quiet that we do have. I do wish to also note, as you spoke about the DPRK, you mentioned Mr. Ree just before attending the Bogor Gardens and the new ambassador from the DPRK occurring for his ceremony later to be installed here in Indonesia and representative of Australia and New Zealand inclusively. I believe the engagement is becoming a lot more fruitful. And I think what we will see in the coming months, based upon the experiences, based upon all the comments, is a new way to engage with the world which we haven't seen before. I think there's a lot of principles which have been thrown in the case of both Russia and Vietnam that have gone down very similar straits within world affairs at the moment. But I think this is affecting the DPRK greatly. I believe the whole infrastructure and the whole interface in which things will be done in future will be done in a better way. I believe the engagements that our committees and that everyone has will be a lot stronger, probably by the end of the year. And I think, again, mentioning further on of what Comrade Santosa made, we can clearly see these developments unfold, whether in a major way, whether in a minor way. And so I would say the main take back upon reflection is a changing perspective, is a changing way of engagement. And personally noting from my own experiences relatively here in Australia in terms of anecdotes, in terms of things I can provide through a personal empirical study, is that the DPRK is not seen as so much of a foreign place anymore. The perception of the DPRK is being modified. It's being, in terms of, it's becoming more relatable, more understandable as an individual sovereign nation. And I think the possibilities for cultural exchange, the possibilities for engagement with the Korean people now looks brighter than ever, I would say. And so I think all of this should be taken as part of very positive moves to the future. And I do believe further engagement as part of communications, either liaisoning with the relative Koreans or through our own individual efforts to strengthen the Juche study groups, to strengthen other participating friendship societies regionally and internationally, will be the main focus in the upcoming year. And so I see engagement as being the real takeaway here. And I think this will greatly benefit and strengthen our relative individual societies as well. But I believe we'll have a lot more opportunities in future to really engage with matters specifically relating to the demilitarization of the demilitarized zone and other political questions at hand as well. So I think a lot of aids are coming, and I think a lot of inspiration should be drawn from Comrade Santosa's comments.
Very much for that contribution, Christensen. Any comments, please?
Me, I want to comment. Norma.
Yes, Norma.
Yes. No, it's quite a long time before I again join you, and I don't feel very happy at the moment listening to what's the development, because I was used to going to Korea and back and all that, and we Teguh and others also were there, and I hope that Korea, our comrades in Korea will be succeeding, and the new development that is going on in Korea at the moment. I think they are also doing their best, as they usually do, so that there will be the changes that they would like to happen in Korea can happen. And I think we need to also support them in this. And I hope that one day we could all meet again in Korea as we did before, like Comrade Teguh, Comrade all the Peter and all, no? And it would be very important and a very joyful get together of all of us who have been working with Korean people, who are very, very inspiring for us. So for us in the Philippines, we will continue our work for DPRK as we did before. And I think it's important that we share experiences among us, because this is all new for us. No? So for example, if Teguh, Indonesia is doing more and all that, they could share it with us also, Peter and also the others who are doing the work, because we were not able to go there now, and I think it's really important that we work together and share our experiences and work in support of the DPRK. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nora, for that very good contribution.
Yes.
Now we move on. Are there any comments from anyone other? If not, I suggest we move on with the sequence event.
Well, I might comment. I would like to ask a question. If there is restructuring of the way that foreign relations are done, could it be a problem? I mean, we were talking earlier about how some people here have had trouble contacting people. So is there room for improvement that maybe they should let people know if there won't be contact with some person, or if someone else might take over the role of contacting people in some country? Maybe that should be handled a bit more smoothly.
Someone like to answer that question, because I didn't hear it properly, sir. Can someone respond to that, please? Peter, would you like to respond?
Okay, well, I don't understand, quite frankly, what Christian has been saying, because there is no contact. They are not responding. We are cut off from them, and we don't have opportunities at the moment until they start responding to our emails to them. And I would suggest that each of you from your own Korea Friendship Societies, please send emails to DMW addressed to Mr. Kwang Kim Il, and let's try and prod him into responding so that we can develop some two-way communication. Because at the moment, and for the last year, there's been zero. So we don't have opportunity to do anything as things stand.
If I may just make just one reply to Comrade Barlich's comment. What I think in terms of communication, and yes, I highlighted a lot about restructuring, reorientation, and the necessities of changing the infrastructure so there can be proper and guided conversations in future. I did trying to get in touch with the respective embassy for Australia that's based in Indonesia. And I think a good suggestion is potentially contacting the local embassies or charge d'affaires, which are responsible for your respective nations. So I think that could be one way in terms of instilling communication, though in terms of friendship activities, we're still again in this deadlock, which I think will be overcome. But at the end, I think, again, it's just we have to wait and see what the answer would be there. So I hope that answers your question to that point as well, based on what Comrade Wilson said as well.
Yes, I suppose it does.
About this. Because I find myself in total agreement with Comrade Peter Wilson from New Zealand. And the fact of the matter is that since July last year, which was the last time we received any proper communication from Pyongyang through Hang Sung Chol, we've been acting in a vacuum, trying to function in a vacuum. Except for a couple of emails that we got to say that they had finished their restructuring, changed the name of the organisation, as you know, from the Committee of Cultural Relations for Foreign Countries to the Korean Association with Cultural Relations for Foreign Countries. Now, what that meant, I don't know, because it's never been explained to me. Secondly, I don't know what title that Queen King Hill holds. Is that person the secretary, the chairperson, or what? I don't know, because they have never told us. Now, today, in fact, some may have got the email yesterday, but I got a generic email from DMW, from the Committee for Solidarity of the World People, or Solidarity of the World's People. It was one of those general emails drawing our attention to the heightened military tensions that are taking place in Korea at the moment, which we are probably all familiar with. Well, that's all very good. It is hardly a personal email to us. It was just sent out random. Now, how we're supposed to respond to that, I don't know. But it's just not good enough. Well, we can't go on acting in a vacuum. In the past, we were used to receiving some advice, information, proposals, suggestions from Pyongyang about our activities, but not anymore. And as a consequence, and as a result of that vacuum, we're floundering. But that's not our fault, because that's the lack of communications. So we've got to try and find out what's happening. We've got no embassy here, nor in New Zealand. But you do have embassy in some of your own countries. So you've got to go knocking on their door, on the embassy door, to find out, well, what's happening, what's going on. Because you just can't go on functioning this way, comrades. And unfortunately, we'll die on the vine. We'll wither away.
Yes.
This problem. And why they're doing this to us, I don't know. I have my own views, but they're quite personal. I don't want to make them known here tonight, because it's not the property of this meeting. But we've got to get to the bottom of it, and we've got to establish the contact, the consistent contact, and the comradely contact, friendly contact, the advice that we used to receive previously. Because we can't go on being taken for granted. And that's what I'm starting to think is happening. Or they consider now that our activities as friendship organisations are now secondary. Are now secondary compared to some other programs that they may have. I know that, I think it was April this year, there was an international gathering in Pyongyang, and some of you attended, of juice. And more recently in Europe, there was a European gathering of juice comrades, of people who study juice. All very well. That's the way we're going to proceed, but then we ought to be told. But we can't go on functioning in this vacuum as we've been trying to do for the last 6 months. So I'll leave my comments go at that, except could someone tell me, how many do we have in attendance at this meeting?
We currently have 17 participants.
17?
Yes.
Well, that's, in the past, at these sort of gatherings, we've had a lot more than that. A lot more than that.
Also, I don't know if you can see, Director, but
that we're going through. All right, well, the comments, I suggest now we move on to item 5, which is just program activities for 25.
Sorry, Director, it seems as though Mr. Hudson has his hands up. Comrade Hudson, who wishes to speak, I believe, on the issue.
Okay.
Right, thank you very much. First of all, I bring greetings from the Korean Friendship Association of the UK and the European Committee for Friendship with the Korean People to the meeting, and my apologies for joining the meeting late. I made a mistake about the time. I thought it was 9 o'clock UK time, when in fact I believe you actually started an hour before. My apologies for that. Just catching up on the discussions, I can confirm that in Europe, since December, we have had contact with the new organization, the Korean Association for Cultural Exchange with foreign countries. And our contact is Mr. Kim Kyung-il, who I did actually meet back in August 2017 in Pyongyang. And I've received several emails from him, and we're in touch. We've reactivated the European Regional, the Secretariat of the European Regional Committee for Friendship with the Korean people. We held a meeting on the 26th of January online, and we are planning two Europe-wide events in August and October in coordination with the new organization in Pyongyang. So, I mean, we've got some level of direct contact with the new organization, and I would reiterate what Comrade Popovic, if I pronounced the name right, my apologies if I haven't, said. I think it will be just a matter of time before relations between Asia Pacific friendship organizations and Pyongyang will be restored. But, I think it is ongoing. There's obviously been restructuring. I think the DPRK is, changing a lot of its foreign work, how it does its foreign work. That is their decision. And earlier I caught a bit of what Comrade Norma from the Philippines was saying, and I think the DPRK is concentrating very much on internal construction in these massive housing projects, which some of us actually saw back in April when we visited. Absolutely incredible amount of construction, and with new buildings going up everywhere. So I think this is the reason for it. And like I say, I'm sure that all relations between your organisations will eventually be restored. And I reject the idea that things are withering on the vine. Thank you for letting me speak.
Dermot, can I ask you a question? Do you get the impression, you were there in April, and that was part of Juche study groups. In fact, I think that all the delegates, Teguh was there, represented Juche study groups. Do you get the impression that maybe, so far as Pyongyang is concerned, that the Juche study groups are more important to them now in this new era than the friendship societies have been in the past? Or is that way out?
I really can't comment on that. I would not like to speculate on that. Like I say, I think they've made some changes to how they're doing foreign work. But, I do not think it's sort of a case that friendship organisations are being downgraded. And in fact, when we were in Pyongyang, there was a very nice reception organised by the Cultural Relations Committee for a number of the delegations. I think for the European delegations like Switzerland, Russia, Poland, UK, that was organised. But, I think there's been clearly, they've changed. The old Cultural Relations Committee is no longer, and it's been subsumed by a new organisation. But I don't like to comment on whether Juche has been elevated. I mean, I think it's always been the case that the DPRK have attached a lot of importance to the Juchadir. You know, over the years have organised many international Juchadir seminars. But, you know, and, you know, also think, you know, we can't make such conclusions until after a few years.
Thank you, Dermot. It's very encouraging to us that you have been getting responses from Kwang Il Kim, because we have had the one email from him, and despite we were talked about this before you joined us, despite us sending him numerous emails and asking him questions, we have never received one email from him. So it's very encouraging to know that you have been getting regular responses from him. And as you say, I hope it's just a matter of time before we can also develop from our region the same level of two-way communication.
Yes, I think it will take time, but I think it will come.
So to sum up,
Can I
think...
ask you a question? Dermot? Are you there?
Mr. Hudson,
sorry.
I would like to ask you a question.
Dermot?
I think he can hear you, Ray, if you wanted to post your question.
Yeah. Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
All right, Dermot, I want to ask you this. It's somewhat of a personal question, but I need to ask. When you was in Pyongyang in April for the International Juche gathering, as I recall, you met up with Wang Sanchao at a reception that was organised. Did he give you any indication of what his next activities would be?
Sorry, I've only heard the last bit where you say, did they give any indication? I didn't hear the preceding parts.
The director was saying that you met up with, you had a banquet, let's just say in April of last year, and there was Mr. Huang Sung Chol, who is normally our main contact with the DPRK for our societies. And Raymond was wanting to ask whether you had any indication from your meeting with Mr. Huang that there was any alteration in their policies towards the friendship committees, or there were any indications of anything that would hamper communications between our friendship groups and the DPRK.
Right. Well, just to sort of report a little bit more about the meeting we had. We, you know, it was a meal, but it was like a working sort of dinner. And like you say, it was European delegates plus Vorontsov from Russia, who's a very senior Russian academic and expert on the DPRK. And there was a number of us there. We did not see Mr. Huang Song Chol. It was Mr. Yu Kyong-il, the director for Europe at the time, and Miss Yun Si-hon, and another comrade. But I mean, the impression I got was, you know, that they highly held the work of friendship organisations in high esteem. You know, I repeat, I don't think there's any downgrading or cold shouldering going on. I think, you know, there's simply been a change in the foreign work, and you know, the DPRK is you know, trying to manage resources in perhaps a more better and effective way. And if you've read many of the recent speeches of respected Marshal Kim Jong-un over the last few years, you will notice that he's stressing greater efficiency and better use of resources. And I think that's what's happened. And I think there's no need for people to worry or feel uneasy about this.
Yeah, to sum up, it seems like we shouldn't be worried about them playing favorites. There's a role for every type of organization. There's some restructuring, but on the other hand, there is concern among some people here that there's a lack of communication. That seems to be like what is going on.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So we now move on to item 5, the draft program activities for 25. The Asia Pacific Regional Committee for Friendship and Solidarity with the Korean people, under the ideal of independence, peace and friendship, has been positively conducting its activities to promote the neighbourly friendship with the Korean people and to create a durable environment for peace on the Korean Peninsula. As it is generally known, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, thoroughly applying the ideal of the people are God, single-hearted unity and self-reliance serves as a model of possible orientated politics, an example of building an ideal society of humanity for the world progressive people, aspiring after independence and justice and in genuine peace and prosperity. The DPRK makes a triumphant onward march along the road of independence and prosperity, unflinching from any political economic upheavals of the world and obstructive moves of the hostile forces, and therefore, for all countries and nations, there lies the true path of advance for prosperity and developments in following the model of the DPRK while promoting the friendly ties with the Korean people. The Asia Pacific Regional Committee of Solidarity and Korean people issues its action plan as follows. Prompted by the need to further expand and develop the friendly cooperative relations with the DPRK as required by the times and prevailing environment, and to elevate into higher level the organising and unfolding of the activities to render support and encouragement to the Korean people in their just struggle to build a prosperous and powerful state and to safeguard the peace and security of the Korean Peninsula and those of the regions in the world. On the outstanding action plans, I now call on Comrade Peter Wilson, Secretariat of the Regional Committee, to put forward some proposals for considerations. Peter.
Well, it's a bit difficult, Ray, with the communication breakdown that we've experienced from this region, but it's encouraging that the Europe region has got regular correspondence with Kwang Il Kim. And I think that all we can do at the moment is bombard him with emails, not only from our committee, but from all of the different nations, countries that are present tonight, from your own Friendship Association. And please email him and try and establish a relationship so that we can open up the communications, and then we can start planning joint ventures with them, whether we're visiting Pyongyang or whatever. Another problem is that a number of agencies and friendship societies and church-based groups have had approval for seeds, medicines, all sorts of things to go into the DPRK, but they seem to be just sitting in a port in China, and for whatever reason, the DPRK is not receiving this aid.
Yes, I have some idea about that. Be that as it may, though, as part of the action plan, do you have any views about whether or not we should continue our campaign demanding that the US withdraws the UN command from Korea? And secondly, in the month of solidarity for Korea, June the 25th to July the 27th, which is an annual event, may I suggest we give consideration to the contents contained in the email that we received, or that I received today from Pyongyang, regarding the ante of the military position in the Korean Peninsula that's currently taking place. I'm going to say that perhaps Trump and co are not giving much attention to Korea as far as the media is concerned in relation to the activities concerning the Middle East and Ukraine. But by this email and what I know myself and what no doubt you have seen in the press, the international press, the United States has not scaled back in any way at all its intentions to carry out military activities on the Korean Peninsula. I mean, as we meet tonight, there's a flotilla of US warships already docked in Korea, Buscan I think it is, with the huge US aircraft carrier Carl Vinson I think it is, along with nuclear submarines and other support vessels. And of course they're going ahead with the normal military operations, exercises that they promote on the Korean Peninsula, along with practicing Op Plan, I think it's Op Plan 74, I'm not sure. But the point I'm trying to make, I guess, and not very well, is that despite the fact that we don't get much attention anymore in the media as far as the Korean Peninsula is concerned, the American military are upping their activities there, along with the South Korean military, and to some extent Japan. And of course Australia is playing a role there too in terms of surveillance. So I wonder whether or not we should, in terms of Solidarity Month for Korea, June the 25th, July the 27th, whether or not we should concentrate that solidarity activities in relation to the military activities that are taking place but on the Korean Peninsula and being escalated by US militarism and forces. Any comments?
I have one comment, if I may make in this regard. And again, this is no call as to whether we should stop the action or whether we should continue it further. But I think, at least from my analysis of what's happened recently, and again, it does share in line with this frightening scenario, is it may even be a positive if the United States troops are kept in the demilitarized zone. Why? Because there's been recent agreements with South Korea and with Japan, which are so strong in terms of military action that I think even if the US pulls out or whatever have you, Japan could come in and have even a more of an effect. And again, they've got the basis to sustain more forces than the United States at this point. But I think the situation is very disastrous. And I think whether we should stop it or not, I think what needs to be considered is, will the United Nations command, post World War II, of course, in terms of a title, should it still be used at the demilitarized zone, and what that impact would have on the recent military agreements South Korea has now made with Japan, which would authorize the identical thing under its banner than if we got rid of the United Nations banner. But that's just my assessment of the situation.
If I may, you mentioned Trump, and of course he is totally unpredictable. However, he has negotiated, forced through a ceasefire in Ukraine. And in the past, he has on many occasions talked about taking back some, if not all, of the US troops from South Korea. And he talks about his love letters with Kim Jong-un. If he turns his attention to the Korean situation, he may well carry through on removing some, if not all, the troops from the South. And this opens up a whole new, possibilities for the future that really we can't predict. So it's a matter of watching this space for the time being, I think.
And we shouldn't forget about the political turmoil. That could end up going anywhere. Now, in response to what Peter had to say, Jarvin, Comrade Jarvin, Asia Pacific Regional Community Secretariat Executive Member and Chairperson, Pakistan DPRK Friendship and Solidarity Committee. Jarvin, would you like to take the floor, please?
Yes, thank you very much. And I hope this is a very good time. We are meeting here after a long time. And we are seeing a very bright faces of all of you. Of course, it was a lack of communication since long. And you, Mr. Raymond Ferguson, very comprehensively analyzes the current political situations. And Mr. Peter Wilson also has given a very clear situations. What were the reason? What were the circumstances that DPRK could not contact regularly to friends? As mentioned by Dr. Raymond Hudson, and in April, on the occasion of the birthday of President Kim Il-sung last year, I was also there, and Mr. Park Kyung-il, the Vice President of the then Cultural Committee, hosted a luncheon dinner in the honor of the visiting delegates, Mr. Teguh Santosa, Mr. Subhash Kadi Shrestha, Mr. Mehta and Mr. Songjit Palprep from Thailand was there, and we have discussed. But we should understand that DPRK is facing very, very critical problems, conspiracies by the imperialist forces in collusion with the Republic of Korea, and they are trying to penetrate among our ranks and file, and they want to sabotage their activities. They want to destroy the cradle of the socialism by isolating them. So we should be prepared to defend the socialism, to express solidarity with the Korean people. And Mr. Raymond Ferguson has not a good health. He is rendering his energies and activities and organizing of this type of solidarity meeting. As Mr. Peter Wilson explained, that this year is very significant year about the whenever the Korean people will celebrate the 80th founding anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea. And on the occasion of the month of anti-US struggle, we should make our joint efforts to condemn the policies of the US imperialism and to support and to extend our solidarity with the Korean people in their struggle for peace, prosperity, and progress. This is our moral obligation that we should organize different type of solidarity activities as on regional level and over national level. And as Mr. Teguh Santosa mentioned that now in Indonesia, they are expecting new ambassador. In Pakistan, before 2 months, the new ambassadors has arrived and he has presented his credential to the President of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And in February, on the occasion of 83rd birth anniversary of Comrade Kim Jong-il, the embassy of DPRK in Islamabad hosted a reception in a hotel, and which was I also participated, flown from Karachi to Islamabad and attended that function. And it was a very long time. It was a very, very excellent gathering, which was participated by the senators, parliamentarians, member of National Assembly, member of provincial assemblies, and as well as high-ranking political leaders from different political parties. This is the what we are doing, and we have celebrated under the auspices of Pakistan-Korea Friendship Association a celebration meeting on the occasion of the birthday of Comrade Kim Jong-il, as well as from the duty organization, they hold the debate meetings. And then I would like to fully support the action program of the Asia Pacific Regional Committee for Friendship and Solidarity with the Korean people for the month of July, the common struggle month of the Korean progressive people of the world, to support the just struggle of the Korean people for peace, friendship, and solidarity. So I would like to my gratitude to all of you who has participated and spared their precious time, and of course everyone in their respective countries are working a very active, playing a very active role. And we are very much regularly in touch with the Dr. Raymond, who is regularly providing through email, through Facebook, and through, yes. So even if Pyongyang is not responding, we should make our contacts with each other, and we should, on our basic level, this is a good initiative that we should promote our activities to solidarity movement among the region and our respective countries. Thank you very much, Mr. Raymond Ferguson, and all the participants who spared their precious time. Thank you.
For that very valuable contribution in support of Peter Wilson's action plan. Now, moving on to item 8, I now call upon Comrade Pant, Secretary General of the Nepal DPRK Friendship Society, to present to the meeting some historical dates of the Korean Revolution calendar, including the 80th anniversary of Korean Liberation Day, and August the 15th of Korean Liberation Day, and the 80th anniversary of the founding of the Workers' Party of Korea on the 10th of October. Comrade Pant, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond Ferguson, Director Mr. Raymond Ferguson, and all comrades attending here. I am very much pleased to be here again after 7-8 months. We are face to face having meeting and expressing solidarity and making plans for future. As you all comrades, I fully agree with Mr. Raymond Ferguson and Mr. Peter, Mr. Comrade Teguh, and Comrade Javed Ansari, who has presented brief sketch, brief information on the Korean politics and Korean Peninsula situation and the lack of contact. Everything they have mentioned, it is 100% correct, and I fully agree, and I need not repeat them again to save our precious time. In Nepal, we faced some difficulties because, as you know, DPRK embassy in Nepal is closed due to various reasons. Since last 2 years, we have no embassy in Nepal. So we are getting information from New Delhi, India. DPRK ambassador in New Delhi, India is looking after Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, maybe 5 countries. They have reduced their embassies owing to different international and regional reasons. And then I'm in Nepal. We are even though there is no embassy, we get some information from India regarding some information to celebrate some important dates. And then as you all know, I am regularly preparing and collecting the important dates of DPRK to be celebrated by all national and regional committees. I also just yesterday received one email from DMW, but there is no any name. They have just mentioned Korean Committee for Solidarity with World People. So this is the second email I received. And the first email I received in February 11, and just yesterday they sent one email through DMW, and it says it described the heavy joint military exercise of United States and South Korea pertaining to demolish their socialist system of DPRK. Maybe they are facing some internal problems, and we are lacking some contact in national and regional level. Even though we don't have any contact, it is our duty to express our solidarity and celebrate their national days and important dates for solidarity. Last February we celebrated Comrade Kim Jong-il's birthday as a day of the bright star in Nepal, and we sent report to the New Delhi embassy. And again in April also we are preparing to celebrate the day of the sun, the birthday of respected President Kim Il-sung. And I have already prepared and sent to the Public Information Bureau. Mr. Teguh Santosa knows it well, and he is distributing it in due time. And in my I want to say that in now coming this April 15, we have to from our national committees and regional committees, we have to celebrate the day of the sun in our way. And then, as Comrade Javed Ansari mentioned, June July is the international month of the solidarity with the Korean people. So it should be celebrated very strongly. And the main thing in this year 2025 is August 15, the 80th anniversary of the founding of the Democrat. This August 15, 18th anniversary of the liberation of DPRK, and then October 10 is the 18th anniversary of the founding of the Workers' Party of Korea. So these four coming historic days, the DMW, the Korean people are giving very much important to be celebrated worldwide. and we are also doing the same. So regarding the importance of August 15 and October 10, I need not explain because our respected comrades, learned comrades, we all know in details, and so I again remind these April 15 and then coming June, July Solidarity Month, and August 15 and October 10. These four days should be celebrated strongly, widely widely in our national committees and in regional level and internationally. With these words, I would like to conclude my sayings, and I'm very happy to meet you, to see you again, and I thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Pam, for that very valuable contribution. Once again, you have excelled yourself in providing us with very valuable historical significant dates regarding the Korean Revolutionary calendar. You have done this consistently, and we are much indebted in gratitude for your efforts in providing this information to us month after month. You never fail. But they are very important dates, and they are significant dates as far as the historical and significant features of the Korean Revolution, which we have a duty to give attention to. I also take note, and I'm most appreciative, that you draw our attention to March the 29th of this year, which is the 82nd anniversary of the birth of our past comrade, life member, executive director of our organisation, Mr. Peter Woods, who unfortunately passed away, I think it was the 9th of June in 2022. But of course, his birthday is the period to celebrate, and we should do that and mark that in our calendar. I agree with your proposal that the Secretariat should draft a letter of appreciation to his good wife, Joyce, his daughter Rebecca, and grandson Archie. On behalf of our organisation, in memory of celebrating Peter's 82nd anniversary. He will always be remembered, and he'll never be forgotten. So I suggest that we ought to mark that down as a proposal that ought to be followed through. And now I call upon Comrade Christensen to respond to the proposals contained in Comrade Part's contribution. Comrade Christensen.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. And again, I don't know what greater commendation I can give to the work of Comrade Pant's work than was just given. But as to say, for myself as a historian, I do find that the collection of dates has been important in two levels. One, the collection that you have taken, Comrade Pant, has provided us with a catalogue, with a chronicle, so to say, of the development of the DPRK. And you can see it not just marked in terms of the day celebrating the great persons of Mount Pektu, but also with the other events that tie in with the work that our societies do. You mentioned in terms of the June-July month of solidarity, and I couldn't think of a better time to rededicate our efforts than to the one that you just mentioned. And so I commend both the dating and the instruction for us to follow down that path of both regional and international solidarity activities for that time period. Again, the marking of Peter Woods's marking of Peter Woods for March the 29th. These days hold a lot of significance, and they provide a lot of understanding in how our society should communicate and how our society should deal with things in the future. And before I go into this date, may I say that I wish for the light of enthusiasm that you carry, Comrade Pant, never be extinguished. It is absolutely amazing. And the reason why I bring it up is because we are left in a sort of quagmire of some sorts. We are all internally debating the change in communication that has taken place. And when the marking of a date such as Peter Woods comes to mind, I remember his quote at the first opening meeting, essentially at the vernissage of our society. And what Peter Woods said to us was that the duty, the mission that we all hold collectively within this organization is not for us to try and find victory as a form of a sprint, but rather this is a marathon. The task that we have put on our shoulders and that we are carrying in the various nations that we are part of are things which are not done lightly. They are the hard trodden paths. They are the paths not trodden by other people, but trodden by thorns, trodden by bristles. The work that we do requires motivation. The work that we do requires consistency. And the goal that we wish to all achieve is documented with the same days that the DPRK celebrates. It is what we are celebrating in a certain way, and it's what we wish to express internationally. As well as within our own respective nations. And so I think the proposals made by Comrade Pant should be commended. I think the documentation and personal enthusiasm and work should be commended even highly. And I think leading in from this meeting in about 6 months' time, we have the 80th anniversary celebration of the liberation of the DPRK. And like that is a long time ago, and we're still waiting, of course, for the full liberation of Korea to this day. I think all of the historic dates provide us with inspiration, provide us with the correct attitude, and it can provide us with correct scheduling if we undertake our activities with consideration as to all of these different days, whether it be respecting the great persons of Mount Pektu or whether it be conversely organising solidarity activities to occur during this June-July period. So I wish to commend the work, highlight the significance and reinstill the importance of our work. And I believe that things like these also provide meaning to a lot of the message that we are trying, of course, to provide to our respective publics as well. So thank you very much for your time, and I commend all the proposals.
Thank you very much, Comrade Christensen. Now, comrades, besides the important dates of the DPA calendar that Comrade Pant has outlined and brought to our attention, I would assume that no one would have any objections of an appropriate letter being drafted by the Secretariat in remembrance of Peter's 82nd anniversary and to be sent to his family and to members of the Asia Pacific Regional Friendship and Solidarity Committee with the Korean people. I assume that's set and it will be done. And secondly, I now want to draw your attention to 2 dates. August the 15th, which is Korean Liberation Day, 80th anniversary, and October the 10th, which was the 80th anniversary of the Workers' Party in Korea. I now come back to what the proposal of Peter Wilson was when he initially spoke at the meeting about Hanoi as the venue for one or both of these events. Our preference, of course, will be delegations from the Asia Pacific region and from other parts of the world to journey to Pyongyang and meet collectively with the Korean people in celebrating these events. There's no guarantee that's going to happen, although we'll do our best and attempt to make contact with our friends in Pyongyang in relation to these very important dates. Failing that, Comrade Peter Wilson has mentioned Hanoi. Jakarta has also been mentioned. In respect to Hanoi, we are very light on the ground when it comes to organised forces. Of course, there is George Burchett, who lives and resides and works in Hanoi. But we couldn't expect George to be able to undertake this on his own. So we would have to rely very heavily on the forces of the Korean embassy in Hanoi to give us support if we were to organise a gathering in that capital city for one or both of these events. I'm mindful, of course, that in Jakarta we have an organisation, a very powerful organisation, a very well organisation in respects to the Indonesian DPRK Friendship and Culture Exchange, which has been led by Teguh Santosa. And of course, we have an embassy there, or the Koreans have an embassy there that we could get support from. So that's consideration. But I think we've got to start to think about on the basis that we may not get an invitation to Hanoi, rather to Pyongyang. And we may need to consider one or both of one of those areas or destinations for such an event as been raised by Peter Wilson in his opening contribution. So I'll just make those comments so you bear in mind where we're at as far as this is concerned. And I would now ask Peter to perhaps explain a bit more what he has in mind as far as these dates are concerned and alternative venue to Pyongyang. Peter.
Peter, you are still mute.
Sorry, my
Yeah.
mistake. In Hanoi, of course, Vietnam and Korea are very close, and there are good relations between them. And it being the Communist Party being in power, the state funds friendship societies with between Vietnam and all around the world. And I believe that if we put a proposal to them, that we would get strong assistance from the Vietnamese Friendship Society and in fact the Vietnamese state. I believe that they would welcome us to meet there if we were unable to meet in Pyongyang. And perhaps we could explore, by way of contingency, we could open up a dialogue with them and explore what the possibilities might be from their point of view. And if we did have something there, I'm sure that the North Korean ambassador would join us and be our key speaker. That's my sort of feeling about it anyway, Ray.
Yeah, Peter, could I ask you, are you talking about August the 15th or October
Yes.
the 10th?
August the 15th.
Yeah, Korea's Liberation Day.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yes, all right, well, that's clear. Any comments from comrades? No disagreement?
No.
All
Ray,
right, well, I would assume
Ray, excuse me, Ray.
I would assume that the opinion. Hello?
Sorry, Ray. Teguh just wants to say a few things.
Yep.
Yes, Ray. Actually, I agree with Hanoi as a place for our coming meeting, if it is possible. But my question is, Peter, do we have someone in Hanoi? I mean, like from Friendship Association that we can contact them? And
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have the names and the contact. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Peter.
That answers your question, Trigger?
Beg your pardon?
Yes, that's yes, correct, Ray. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, comrades, I would assume there's general support that we continue to make contact with Pyongyang, particularly in relation to an invitation for delegations to visit there to celebrate with the Korean people the 80th anniversary of Korea's Liberation Day, which is August the 15th. Now, following that, it seems that the agreement is that, and we would have to find out very quickly, as Peter says, because of airfares and other logistics. Now, following that, the proposal is that we proceed to make contact in Hanoi with the appropriate friendship organisation, the Umbrella Friendship Organisation, advising them of what our intentions are and asking them to provide support for our efforts to celebrate this significant historical event in their capital, Hanoi. And we seek the support of the Korean Embassy in Hanoi and the Umbrella Organisation of Friendship Society of Vietnam. Is that the proposal?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct, Ray.
No opposition to that?
No.
And we'll record that as a decision. Now that brings us to the last section of the meeting as I close it. I believe that all the discussion agenda items of this meeting has been discussed successfully. Availing myself this opportunity, I would like to emphasise the need to further strengthen the cooperative relations with the Asia Regional Committee, our Committee for Friendship and Solidarity with the Korean people, and other regional organisations in support of the Korean people, and progressing in peace advocating organisations in the regions. For the immediate future, I propose that the occasion on the month of April, US joint struggle for June the 25th and July the 27th, as well as making concrete plans on a regional and international scale. Secondly, we need to give consideration to the current structure of the Asia-Pacific Regional Committee of Friendship and Solidarity with the Korean people, its executive and secretariat, as it has been some time since we undertaken this task, and for those purposes, I suggest that this should be a matter for discussion and resolution at the next meeting. Comrades, can I just make these comments? It's been some years now since we've been functioning without a director of the executive. In the absence of that person, I was appointed as the director of the Secretariat. I only raise this because maybe we ought to now be considering of finding a new director for the executive. And secondly, if we find a new executive for the director, do we need to continue with an executive of the Secretariat? I don't think we need both, one or the other. But I don't think we need to have both positions functioning simultaneously. At the moment, this position of the executive, of the director of the executive has been absent or has been vacant ever since the unfortunate demise of Comrade Peter Woods. So I think we need to give attention to both of these issues at our next meeting. Once again, my thanks go to everyone for taking time and attending the meeting with sincere and proactive attitude. I would like to propose a Public Information Bureau to take relevant measures as early as possible regarding the official website, letterhead, etc., relating to guaranteeing the full action of the organisation. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I've let the meeting close. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Ray.
Okay. Christus, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, Raymond.
So can you organise the minutes to be sent to me?
Certainly. I have every second documented.
And also copies of Teguh, of course.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teguh. You have provided this opportunity to meet each other.
Good job at all time there. And good health.
Take care. Yes, take care, Mr. Raymond Ferguson. Care for your health, and we always pray for your early recovery and good health.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I close the
Okay.
Zoom. Bye-bye. See you again.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.